Welcome to another Stamp with Amy K YouTube Live, and today I'm going to show you how I made a card with the You Are Remarkable stamp set from Stampin' Up. So this is one, it's kind of a, oh shoot, I thought I had muted myself, but apparently I had not. And I'm looking at the screen and going, my goodness, I'm all sorts of crazy crooked on here as well. So, all right, I think I got that a little bit better. I don't know what happened. I thought it was pretty well centered when I was looking at it on my phone. I looked at my computer and I'm like, oh my. So, all right. So we're going to be using the You Are Remarkable stamp set from Stampin' Up! To do, it's more of a technique-based card, but it's a pretty simple technique because I'm not really a techniques person. So this is ink block stamping. If you haven't ever seen it before, it's really easy, and I'll show you how to do it. And it gives you kind of, I don't know, it's a lazy way to color as far as I'm concerned. So really easy to do, and just have to be a little patient with letting it dry. But you can speed that up with the heat tool, which is what I'll be doing with my card later today. And of course, the dog has decided to get up and prance around my office, so you'll hear her little claws clickety-clacking and her her collar jingling as well. So sorry about that. So hey, Danette and Amy and Sally and Kathy and Christine and Carla and Marva, thanks everybody for joining today. So again, that's the card we're going to be making. It's pretty quick and easy. This is the You Are Remarkable stamp set, and it's actually designed for two-step stamping, which is awesome because you can stamp a lined image and color it yourself. You can stamp the lined image like I did and not color it, or you can stamp the lined image and then stamp the fill-in images over the top of it, so it's all colored in like one steps, which is super quick and easy. So hey, Pam and Karen, thanks for joining. But this is a great stamp set that is on the online exclusives from Stampin' Up, so it's one that you will find there. It's not in any catalog, so you just have to go out to the online store and click on the little menu button in the upper left, and then click on the online exclusives little button, and you'll find that stamp set under there. So another thing that I did use, hey Heather and Susan, thanks for joining. Another thing that I did use is I did use this little die, this little die, the second smallest one here of the rectangle dies from the Textured Notes dies, and that is what I cut my sentiment out with. But that's really the only die cutting on this entire card, which is a little unusual for me. Usually I'm doing a lot of die cutting, but just one for this time around. So, all right. A couple things before we get going. Today, which depends on which day you're watching this, Saturday, this will be ending. So today is the second to the last day since I'm recording it on Friday. If you're watching this on Saturday, this is the last day to sign up to join Stampin' Up! As a demonstrator and get the great deal on the starter kit. We've already had quite a few people join our team with this awesome kit. So basically, you pay $99 plus tax if that applies in your area, and your kit will ship for free. Normally, you get to pick $125 worth of whatever Stampin' Up! Merchandise that you would like. If you join before the end of May, which is 11:59 p.m. on, but don't wait that long if you're going to do it, join earlier. So 11:59 p.m. on Saturday, you get to pick $165 worth of Stampin' Up! Products in your starter kit. It's of your choice completely. It can be whatever you want it to be. Yeah, so lots of great stuff and lots of awesome things to choose from. Brand new catalog, new in colors, all that stuff is all available, as well as anything in the online store. So let me know if you have questions about that. We'd love to have you come join us. Once you join, you do get at least a 20% discount on any merchandise that you order as a demonstrator. And you get to pre-order from the upcoming items, the upcoming promotions. Like there are some more online exclusives that are going to be available to order starting on the 3rd of June. So demonstrators get to do pre-order those starting in June. And yeah, and I think that's about it. I don't know, anything else? Oh, and any Stampin' Up! Events and that sort of thing, you also get to join those as well. So let me know if you have questions. Would love to chat with you more about it. And yeah, let me know. Again, just don't wait till the last second because, you know, something always happens. So, all right. Virtual album retreat. So, hey, Karen and Joanne and Amanda. I don't know if I said hi to Amanda and Heather and Susan already, but if I did, I apologize. Hello again. So, hey, Daryl. Virtual album retreat is coming up in July. For Stampin' Up! Is doing this for the first time. They've got 12 album spreads essentially. So I think they're 2 pages from what I'm gathering. Again, I'm not a scrapbooker, and so I'm sort of new to all this stuff. But you are going to get, if you purchase the kit, which is $250, you get to join the retreat as part of the kit. So essentially you purchase the kit, and then you get all the products that you need to make the pages. And then there's a 3-day time span, July 16th to the 18th, where you actually are going to get out online. I think it's on a Facebook page, I believe is what they're doing it on. And yeah, it's a Facebook group, so you can hop out there and you'll get to join the event, put the pages together if you want to. If you can't watch it live, you can always watch the replay. So this is just what the pages are going to look like that you'll be creating. And like I said, $250. If you're a scrapbooker or are interested in learning about scrapbooking and want to get started, this would be a great way to do it. So let me know if you have questions about that. Details are posted on my blog, which is stampwithamyk.com. The kits are available while supplies last, so I'd order early if you want to join, just because, you know, they may sell out really quickly. They may not. I don't know. So again, $250, and that gets you the kit as well as an invitation to the Facebook group where they're going to be doing the event. So let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to chat with you about that too. And then don't forget the buy one, get one 50% off on all product suites, as well as the products within a suite from Stampin' Up! During June. So June 3rd to June 30th. It is buy one, get one 50% off any suite or any product that's in a suite. That includes the 2025 to 26 annual catalog suites, as well as the online exclusive suites. And I did verify for those of you that are thinking about joining, there are a couple new suites that are going to be coming up. I don't know what they are, but I know there will be some in the June online exclusives. And yes, those are buy one, get one 50% off as well for demonstrators. So demonstrators do get the 50% off, the same promotions, buy one, get one 50% off that customers do. So if you are interested in joining as a demonstrator, let me know. It's an awesome deal. So, all right, I think that's enough. And then online exclusives, we're going to chat a little bit more about those, but just don't forget to go check those out anytime you're out in the online store. All right. So let's get started. This is a piece of the Irresistible Designs specialty designer series paper, and I know it's kind of hard to see, but hopefully the light is catching it so you can see. This is basically paper. It's white background, obviously, and it's got embossing, clear embossing on it. This one's got floral images. There's one that's got kind of like a crosshatch kind of image on it. I don't know. It's sort of plaidish looking, but it's at an angle. So whatever that makes it be, there's a paper that's got that. And then there's one that's got some greenery images stamped on it. This comes on the paper just as it is. So all you have to do, you can use it just plain if you want to, and you'll just have a white background that's got the kind of shimmery looking flowers on it. Or you can do what I have done and put a little lemon lolly ink on it with a blending brush. So you're just going to grab your blending brush, and then you're just going to come in and you're going to swirl the ink over the paper. And you'll see the images kind of start to pop out in the paper as you add the ink to it. So always fun to see that. And it's like heat embossing without having to heat emboss. So the easy way to heat emboss is just let Stampin' Up! Do the work of the embossing, and you just, grab your blending brush and a little ink, and you can make it be whatever color you want it to be. So again, Lemon Lolly is the ink that I'm using here, and hopefully Ginny will settle down and lay down back in her bed here in a second so she stops pacing around my office. I'm not entirely sure why she is doing that. My husband is working from home today, so I don't know if she hears him out there and she wants to go join him. So now she's trying to get out of the office. Of course, she's been asleep in here all day until I shut the door, and then all of a sudden it becomes an emergency that she must get out of the office immediately, or, who knows what will happen. So, all right. Again, just adding Lemon Lolly ink. I'm going to come back here and swirl a little bit. I don't need to worry too much about going all the way to the center of the panel, just because that's all going to be covered by my layering. So I do want to make sure that I get the edges, though, and have it somewhat evenly distributed across the panel, although it's never going to be perfect. At least I can't make it be perfect. Maybe if you're, want to spend hours and hours blending, you certainly can. So Oh, dog is always pacing back and forth. It must be a dog thing. Like I said, I think that she gets nervous when I'm in here talking because she thinks that I'm talking to her and she can't understand why I'm not over there paying attention to her when I'm talking. I think that's what her issue is that normally it's kind of quiet in my office because I work by myself. And unless I'm on the phone or something like that, it's usually pretty quiet in here. And she's like, who are you talking to? I don't see anybody. So, all right. So this is what it looks like when I get it done. Again, if you want to spend a little more time blending it and having it look perfect, you can certainly do that. I wasn't necessarily going for that look, so I just added the ink until I thought it looked pretty, and then I quit. So, all right, I've got a lemon lolly card base. My original card base is a top fold, so it's 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2 across the top, so it opens on the top. But this card, it doesn't matter which way the opening is, so I had a piece of paper that was set up for a side fold card. So I thought I would show you, for those of you that prefer the side fold cards, that you certainly can do this card with either card base. So this card base that I'm working on right now is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4 in the middle. So again, all the measurements will be on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com. And so the PDF tutorial and all that will be out there as well, and I'll link directly to it once the post goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So, all right, just making sure that this is straight on here. I had it a little crookedy, so I'm just straightening it out and trying to make sure that it's on there straight and flat. All right, so hey, Tina, thanks for hopping in. All right, next up, I've got a piece of the new, this is one of the new patterns in the color families of Designer Series paper. We're going to use the kind of splattery look side. This is actually from the Brights 6x6 Designer Series paper pack, and this is a lemon lime twist, the color on it. So the flip side's got flowers, but I want it to be a little more muted, so I've done the splattery side up. And this is about 1 inch wide, and it started out at about 5 1/4, and I just notched the bottom of it to make a little banner in it. And we're just going to stick that on the card front with some Stampin' Seal. So there we go, putting a little Stampin' Seal on it. And then again, there's no like special placement. I just kind of generally wanted it toward the right-hand side and tried to make it so that it was straight up here on the top. And that's about all there is to it. All right, now comes the fun part. It's a little messy, so I'm gonna tell you, you'll wanna make sure that you've got your space kind of cleared off and a little bit protected. I did find out, because I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention when I initially started on my card, I sprayed it a few times and ended up with ink kind of splattered all over my desk, but that's okay because it wipes off easily because the ink is water-based, so all I had to do was get a little washcloth and clean up the huge mess that I made. But I figured for demonstration purposes, I would try to keep the splatter to a minimum. Oh, I'm actually going to start with Lemon Lime Twist. That's where I'm going to start first. And I've got the B blocks here, so these are all same size, but I've got a couple of them. So B block and Lemon Lime Twist ink. And for this technique, all that you have to do is open up your ink pad, take your ink block, press it down it as though it's got a stamp on it, but it doesn't, and then put it down on something that you don't mind getting splattered with a little bit of ink. Grab a Stampin' Spritzer, fill it with water, and then basically just spritz the block a couple times until the ink gets kind of runny looking like that. And again, each one of these you do is going to turn out a little bit differently because the ink's going to distribute a little bit differently on the block. And then flip it over. And if there's anything dripping on it, you may want to hold it over whatever you've got that's your knot project piece. And then you just take it and smoosh it down. And I don't know if you can see that the ink is kind of pulling itself off of the block and putting it into the paper. And again, it's going to look a little different on each one. You'll get darker and lighter spots, and that's just how the technique works. So that is splotch number 1. And again, that one was Lemon Lime Twist. And then I'm going to grab Granny Apple Green and do the same thing with that one. Again, just inking up the side of the block, flipping it over. Whoop, looks like I need to put a little more on the little bit not quite inked the way I wanted it in this corner, so I just tapped it on the ink pad a couple more times. And then grab your Stampin' Spritzer, same thing. Put a couple spritzes on it. Try not to spray everything, but as you can see, it kind of it gives you a kind of a wide mist. So you want to make sure you're on a spot where you don't have to worry too much about ink flying everywhere. And just kind of moving the ink around a little bit on here. And then I'm going to take that and we're just going to go down on the lower left corner. And we're going to stamp that, and it's going to be right over the top of the other one that I had on here. So there you go. Drying that off and cleaning it off a little bit. And then the final color that we're going to use is Lemon Lolly. So I'm going to take that one. Same thing. And again, if you've got different blocks and you don't want to have to clean it off in between, you can use different blocks, whatever you want to do. All right, inking that up with the Lemon Lolly. Close that up. Set it aside, and then grab my Stampin' Spritzer one last time. Whoop. And whoop. See there, I just spritzed it totally off the off the area where I was even trying to spray it. All right, same thing with this one, kind of moving the ink around a little bit, making sure that any drippy drips on there are hopefully not going to show up too much. And then we're just going to take it and kind of splat it right over the top. Right up here on the upper right. So, hey, Barbara, thanks for hopping. It's just plain old cardstock, Joanne. So I just use basic white cardstock. It's cut to about 3 inches by 4 1/4. You can use watercolor paper if you want to. It'll give you a little different effect because the watercolor paper is obviously designed to absorb a little bit more of the water in the ink. So you may get a little deeper color on it. But whatever you have, either one will work. So the next thing I did was grabbed my heat tool, and because the Stampin' Up! Heat tool does have, I'm going to get that ink block right out of the way before I make a huge mess with that and end up sticking it to something it shouldn't be. I'm going to grab my heat tool because the Stampin' Up! Heat tool has 2 settings on it. There's a level 1 setting for drying, which is what I'm using right now, and it's, as you've probably noticed, quite a bit quieter than when you use it for heat embossing. But basically, it just kind of speeds up the drying process when you're doing something like this, whether it's watercoloring or this inking technique where it's a little bit runnier and takes a little longer to dry. I'm just flipping it over so that I can dry it both from the back side and from the front side. So whatever, making sure that it's dry all the way through, that's the main thing that I want before I add the next layer of color on, because I'm trying to avoid having the floral image look runny, which that's not necessarily the look I wanted. If you don't mind that look where it kind of looks a little runny and feathery, you can certainly stamp it right on top of the wet ink and you'll get that look, but I didn't want that. So I dried mine instead. So let me check it here and see how we're doing. I feel like we're getting pretty close to being dry. So yep, that feels like it's pretty well dry to me. Which that's a nice little bonus of the heat tool. It does make things like that go much faster, because the first one of these I made, I just set it aside thinking, oh, it'll dry after a few minutes. And after like 10 minutes, I pulled out the heat tool and still ended up drying it with the heat tool because it was still too wet. So, all right, got basic gray ink that we're going to stamp the floral image from the You Are Remarkable stamp set. So just inking that up with the basic gray ink. And then I'm just going to stamp it right over the top of the spot where I've put the ink blocks at. And again, I wanted my flower to be a little bit more on the yellow and the stems to be on the green. But again, however it lands is how it's going to land. So don't worry and don't stress too much about exactly where everything is placed, because it's never going to be perfect with this type of technique. There we go. So that's it. So it's super quick and easy. And I think it's kind of pretty. It was one of those techniques that I hadn't done it in a really long time, and I saw there's a card in the current Stampin' Up! Catalog that I'm like, you know, that's a pretty technique, and I haven't done it in a while, so let's try it. And so this is what I came up with. So, all right, I'm adding some Stampin' Dimensionals to the back of this. Again, because it was basic white cardstock, and when it gets wet, it does get a little bubbly or rumply or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to put extra Stampin' Dimensionals on it, many more than I normally would put on a piece of basic white cardstock, but just trying to make sure that it stays on the card front relatively flat. So, and again, I apologize about the dog. She's still prancing around. I'm not entirely sure what she's hearing that she's all wound up about, but the minute I open the door, she'll run out and then she'll come right back in and lay down on the bed. I know that's what's going to happen. So, anyway, all right. Should have Karen come over here. She's the dog whisperer lady. So, all right. I'm going to take this and flip it over, and we're going to put it on the card front. And I'm putting it a little bit intentionally to the left-hand side of the card, or to the right-hand side of the card, because my sentiment is going to go on the left side. So I want this to be a little bit closer to the right side. There we go. So, oh, you need to come on over. Jeannie misses you too. So, all right. Oh, I've done it too where I've used the big block before to kind of color the whole background, but I thought it was kind of cool to do it in smaller pieces. So, all right. Next up, we're going to just stamp. Oh, actually, we'll go ahead since I've pulled out the paper. I'm going to stamp the sentiment and die cut that, and then we're going to add a little bow underneath it, but we'll go ahead. And again, the sentiment is from the You Are Remarkable stamp set. So it's all from the same set. And we're going to be die cutting it, so it doesn't really matter how it lands on the paper, just so long as it gets relatively centered on there. And basic white cardstock is what I've stamped it in. Then I'm going to grab my second from the smallest die from the Textured Notes dies. Again, these are one of the online exclusive items, so you will find them in the online store under the online exclusives tab. And we're just going to go run this through the die cutting machine, so I will be right back. All right, there we go. Let me get the dies out of the way, and goodness, papers and stuff everywhere. I'm going to grab some white twine, and I don't know what I've done to my white twine. This is from the Essentials Baker's Twine Pack. Somehow it's got like 3 different places where it's started, and there's loose ends, and they're all crazy. So I have to kind of be careful when I use it to not end up pulling everything loose. But I just want a bow from the white twine. Come on. Fingers there. Oop, oop. I thought I'd tied the bow, but apparently I did not. Or maybe I just untied it there a second ago. So let's try this again. Oop, there we go. That time we got the bow. And it's not a huge bow, but it's not a little tiny one either, because this is a pretty good sized sentiment. So I want it to peek out around the sentiment. So I'm going to do that. We'll grab some snips here and trim off the twine. And I'm going to stick this on my card front with a little mini glue dot, which I thought I had. Oh, there they are. Let's say I know I have some. So grab a little glue dot here, and I'm going to take that, put it on the back of my bow. And then I'll take the bow and kind of put it at a bit of an angle here on the card front, and want to keep it so that it's mostly on the card front. So we'll go ahead and do that. And I'm definitely going to need to trim down the ends here just a smidge, so at least on the one side. And this one I could probably trim down just a little bit too. So, hey Cindy, thanks for hopping in. All right, got that. Now I'm going to take my sentiment, and I know I want it here covering the glue dot in the middle of my bow, not covering up the entire flower. That's the main thing I'm aiming for. But because the bow is already on the card front, a couple of the Stampin' Dimensionals I'm actually going to stick right around the bow so that I don't accidentally stick one right on top of the bow and then have a big weird lump in the sentiment. And then the final one I'm going to stick here on the sentiment. So there we go. Peel the backings off of those. And we'll flip it over. And then I'm just going to take this and we'll stick it right here over the top of the bow. And again, just trying to kind of get it aimed for fairly straight and not covering up the entire flower. So that's it. Pretty quick and easy. I've got some of the iridescent pearl basic jewels. These are just kind of a good staple, I think, to have in your stamping cabinet. I love the little ones. So they're really, even the big ones are not too huge on here, which is nice because sometimes the bigger gems, they're difficult to mail, and they don't go into envelopes very nicely and that sort of thing, where the little ones certainly do, and even the big ones of the little ones are not terrible. The big ones of the pearls, I should say, are not terrible. So, all right, just sticking a couple of them here randomly around the card front. There we go. So I did stick 5 of them on there, so however many you want to do, you certainly can do. Then the inside of the card, I'm not going to do the technique again, but basically I just took, this is a little strip that I trimmed off from the card front when I initially cut the paper. So again, this is part of the I want to call it iridescent, now that I've said iridescent pearls. Irresistible Designs. I'm like, what is the other word that starts with I? Irresistible Designs Designer Series paper. And I just took the little blending brush and lemon lolly ink and inked that as well. And we're just going to use that here on the inside of the card. So I've got a little Stampin' seal we're going to put on here, and then just layer it over the bottom of the cardstock panel, basic white, and it's cut to about 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm just going to trim off the little excess here and stick it on the inside of the card. And we are going to be all done with the card for today. And I can finally let the dog loose so she can come running back in and sit down on her bed and go to sleep for the rest of the day. So, all right, putting this here on the inside of the card. And I'm going to grab my bone folder and just going to lightly press over the top of this, and then I'm going to flip it over and give it a good solid crease on the opposite side. I don't know that it would smash up or mangle up the embossing on here if I really pressed down hard with the bone folder, but I didn't want to find out after I'd made the card and ended up, you know, having it be kind of smooshed up on the edge. So there you go, quick and easy. Paper was blended with lemon lolly. This is the, now I'm going to, Irresistible Designs Designer Series paper. It's a specialty pack of paper. It's in the annual catalog. So that is where you will find it. It's really kind of hidden back in the paper section of the catalog. It's not very well showcased, so you kind of have to go hunting. But if you go to the online store and just type in Irresistible Designs, it should come right up and you'll be able to find it in there. And it's got 3 patterns, 6 pages. It's an awesome pack of paper. So you definitely want to get some if you don't have it. So, all right. That is it for the card today. Hopefully you'll love it as much as I do, and definitely give the little ink block stamping a try. It's lots of fun to do, a little messy, like I said, but definitely lots of fun, and one of those really easy techniques that's kind of like a little bit wow, but super easy because I don't do anything that's difficult. So, all right. Thanks again, everybody, for joining. Again, the details for this card will be posted on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com. I'll link directly to the blog post once it goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. And you'll find the printable PDF tutorial as well as all the cardstock cuts and all that sort of thing out on my blog tomorrow. I am not going to be going live on Tuesday of next week just because that is prom day, and I've got a couple of appointments and things to run to, so it's going to be a little bit of a crazy day, but I will definitely plan to be live again around 2 o'clock Eastern time next week, Friday. And if my pre-order of the online exclusives comes in when I think it will, I haven't placed the order yet because obviously I can't. I can order on June 3rd, but I may hop on and show you what I got in the pre-order next week, whatever day that it happens to arrive. So have a great rest of the weekend. I will plan to see you all next week, Friday for sure, and then maybe Wednesday or Thursday, depending on when my pre-order arrives. So until then, have a great weekend. Let me know if you have any questions. Be happy to help. And again, don't forget about that joining special ending tomorrow. So, all right, have a great weekend. Chat with you all soon.